It's 4D, and we're back with another episode. If you're a woman in your 20s, you've come to the right place. Today, we'll be getting deep into family, and our girl Jay got a story to tell about building a relationship with her family now that she's an adult.
Oh, yes, I sure do. So let's just get into it. So we're gonna be talking about family today, and I'm sure that y'all can relate about, when you become an adult, your relationship with your family, it takes a turn in some way, whether it be for better or for worse. And so I'm gonna talk about how my relationship has changed with my family now that I'm adult and what that looks like building that relationship too. So, I know definitely when I graduated college, I was like, oh, like I'm not moving back home. Like I've had a taste of my own space. Like it
Yeah.
felt good. It felt good. I had my own place, a home away from home. I wasn't that far. I was able to come back home. So I'm like, I'm staying. Boom. But fast forward to what, 2 years after that, it was time to come home. Okay. I was not trying to pay that rent in San Diego by myself. San Diego served its purpose for 6 years. It was time to come back home.
Mm-hmm.
So with all of that, it's like, okay, now I'm moving home. Not only am I moving home, I'm not just moving into my own space back to my hometown. Like I'm moving into my home that I grew up in. And so that was the whole thing. But nonetheless, I was really excited for it to happen because I already, would come back home and my relationship with my family was cool. So I was looking forward to it for the most part, being close to the family and friends, because your girl want to move to the East Coast eventually. So I'm like, let me so call
Oop,
this good loving in.
oop, oop, oop.
So
Okay, East Coast.
But yes, I'm like, let me soak all this good loving in because I'm making a trip. It's gonna happen. So I might as well take advantage of being close to my family and friends now.
Right.
But with that being said, like now that I am around family now, it's no excuse like, oh, I can't come, I'm far, like, oh, I can't because I'm not like, no, you're here. So what are you gonna do about it? And so I feel like the most recent situation that has came up is with my cousins who live on the East Coast in North Carolina. Earlier in July, they all visited out here. I haven't seen them since I was probably like what, like 14 years ago was the last
Mm.
time I seen them. Yeah, we were all little. It was for my nana's birthday party. So they all came out here again for my nana's birthday. And so it was just so nice because we were all adults and just like catching up. And it's like your family. So it's like, see, this why we family. When you're hanging out, it's like it just felt really good. And so after they left, it's kind of like I was kind of feeling like, oh, well, how can I like foster this relationship? Yeah, they don't live over here, but we got phone, we got social media, we got FaceTime. Like, there's no excuses at this point. So you can't say you don't know them because you know them now. Like, there's no excuses. So, um, recently my cousin Marissa, who lives in North Carolina, she was like, I'm coming back. After she visited here in July, she's like, I'm coming back. I love LA. I need to visit and I need to be out here when I'm not with my family in a hotel. I said, okay, come through then. Just let me know when. And so, this past week, she came out here with her cousin Sydney. And it was just really cool. Like just leading up to it too, she was like, I'm planning on coming out there in November. I might come this day, this day. And I'm just like, okay, yeah, like keep me posted, da da da. And like it was just really good to see like it followed through. So she came out here on what was that? I think that was Friday or Thursday. And so she came by the house on Friday. So that was really nice. And then we also went out again and hung out on Saturday. And sometimes it'd be like, oh, like I don't feel like it. Da, da, da. But I'm like, Jada, like she flew all the way out here. Like, this is your cousin. This is how you're supposed to build these relationships. Like, hang out, get up, get out of bed. And so that's what I did. And we had so much fun. And it just put into perspective, like now that I am older, like all the cousins that I have and people across the family across the country, like I can make that effort to go and see them. It's not just
Hmm.
a waiting game, like, oh, like you could have come seen me. Cause I know when I was younger, that's what it was like, okay, family not coming around. That ain't got nothing to do with me because they grown. I'm not. So why you not, see me? But now it's like, I'm grown too. I can make the decision to hop on a plane to go travel on vacation so I can make that same decision to see family too. So I'm really just seeing like how it just takes that extra effort to, see family and go hang out, whether it be for a quick weekend or even if you're nearby, just letting them know and stopping by. It's just nice to connect with family and connect with those roots because, yeah, if you don't, then you just won't and you'll never have that connection, whether that be a good thing or a bad thing. I know for me though, like I want to dig into that and stay connected with them. Because when we get older, that's all we're gonna be wanting is family and community. And if we don't start now, then I feel like when I get older and we really start building our families, like who is our community gonna be,
Yeah,
So
that's true.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Even thinking like not my god brothers, they're my cousins' god brothers. They're basically my cousins or my brothers, whatever you want to call them. You know how family get. But like even now that we're older, it's kind of like when we're doing stuff, we checking in with each other, we're calling each other, checking in, even though we don't live in the same space. And like, oh, are you coming out here? Or I'm finna come out there. Like just making that effort to see one another. Like our parents are not gonna set it up for us anymore. And so
Right.
I'm really just trying to digest that and then after digesting it, putting in effort to like hang out with them and because these are going to be the people that we lean on. This is the village that people are talking about. Like, yes, I have my friends, of course, and that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day, but I feel very blessed to have family or people who have become family that I can lean on and do that. So I'm gonna foster them relationships the best way I can. Now that I'm adult, I have more control over the things I do, so there's no excuse at this point. So,
Yeah, I really liked how you mentioned like parents are not going to do it for us anymore.
mm-hmm.
And it really just put into perspective, like, yeah, we really actually got to do that. Like, if I want my people to know, like, if I want my children to know their cousins and all that, like, I have to be close to, like, my family. I have to put that effort out there in order to do that. Because I know for a large part of my life, I wasn't as close to my cousins. And then it just kind of ramped up because,
Mm-hmm.
we had a couple deaths in the family, so we had to get close.
Yeah.
And just, rally around each other. So, it was a period in time where then like all the cousins got close. And so
Yeah.
that's actually really, really fun. And even like our family reunions on my other side of the family that we have every other year, like one year, all the cousins, we made a group chat and now we just check in with each other periodically.
I love
And
that.
and it's just like, oh, like what y'all doing? And we all in like different cities or different states. Like one's in Texas, one's in Tennessee, some in California, some in Virginia, Maryland. Like we just everywhere. But it really is about making those connections. And I want to be one of those grandmas that's like, oh, how are we related? Well, that's your Aunt Bernice's daughter's son, cousin, mother, and like I
Bernice.
want to be one of them. Like I want to know. I want to know the tree. Like I
Yeah.
want to, be the person that hosts the big things. And so your story really did inspire me to continue that and to keep that going. And I'm actually one of the older cousins on both sides of my family, so
Mhm.
I feel even more of that responsibility. So you give me some things to think about because now who like once the people that's putting on the family reunions once they pass, whose responsibility is it? Ours. And they're already coaching us to like be more involved in the planning process, which makes sense. So they about to pass that baton, y'all, and
Yes.
we gotta be able and willing to pick it up.
Okay. Okay, so I do have a question for y'all, wrapping that up. But before I get into that, I want to remind our listeners to make sure that y'all are subscribed, liking, following us. If you're on Spotify, follow us, give us a rating. Same for Apple Podcasts. I think you can comment on there too, so show us some love. And if you're on YouTube, like, subscribe, comment, share with your homies, like do it all. Okay, we need some love. And if you aren't following us on social media yet, follow us on Instagram. Follow us on TikTok. I will say follow us on the Bird app, but it's a little shaky right now, so you can, but no, yeah. Follow us at 4D Pod, FOURDEEPPOD. It's the same as our YouTube. So yeah, just want to drop that in there before we continue. But the question I have for y'all is what can we do to make sure we put in that effort. Like, we could talk about it, rah, rah, whoop de whoop, but what are some like tangible things that we can do moving forward, big or small, to put in that effort to, connect our family, create build these connections. What are y'all thinking?
There was something that I recently had to do because I would never like call anybody. Like I would just beg
Mhm.
people to call me, and if they didn't call me, like okay, I guess we're not talking. And
Mm,
so it came a point in time where like I had to like set a reminder to like call my grandma, like maybe twice a week, call my mama, make sure that like we check in with each other. And it does sound like, dang, like you gotta set an alarm just to call your granny, but life gets busy. Okay,
Hmm.
you can have it in mind, and you know what I'm saying, you think to yourself like, dang, I know I need to call her, I know I need to call her, and something would always come up, something will always come up, especially with the fast-paced life that we live now. So like setting
Hmm.
reminders to make sure that you check in on certain people, if your life is busy like that, making sure that you're calling people at least like once a week, that really helps. And then yeah, just and also another thing is like just finding that person in your family that is gonna be the planner. Because I remember there was a time when my sister, she created a group chat on Instagram and she put me and all of my cousins in it. And she literally like planned out like this whole like barbecue at our aunt's house. And everybody actually showed up.
wow.
But
Hmm.
it was like after years though, like we hadn't seen each other, and I'm gonna be real with y'all. We have not like linked up like that since then, and that was like 2 or 3 years ago. And my sister, she hasn't. She was the planner. You know what I'm saying? She was that person who was like, okay, let me make this group chat. Let me, you know what I'm saying, get everybody in there. So either be that person or figure out who that person is gonna be, because it got to be somebody if it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Everybody not planners. Everybody not schedulers. Everybody ain't gonna hit everybody up. See, I got to find that person who is that or be that person. So yeah, that's what I got.
Yeah.
I will also say too, don't think that you got to come in and be the person that got to bring the family together. You
Nah.
know,
It's a
you
lot
know
of
how
work.
you don't got to be big mama. You don't got to be big mama. But you can find the people in your family who you have like the closest connections to, or the people,
Hmm.
like if we're talking about us being the big cousins, the younger cousins that you're connected to. Like, for example, my family is not very big and not very close.
Mhm.
Um, it's usually always the same people when we're having celebrations or events or whatever. And a lot of times too, now when we have events, it ends up being people who are more so like our gained, I don't want to say chosen family because that sounds like, it sounds bad, but
Extended.
like that's our gained family. Like it's people we've gained
Yeah.
over years
Yeah,
of experience
Aw.
that end up
I
being a
like
lot of the
that.
people that come to just our events and stuff like that. And so when I think about like all of my younger cousins and just like people that I grew up with, I'm like, wow, like I really could be like checking in on them. But for me, it'd be too big and ambitious for me to think like, okay, with me moving back home, I'm excited to be close to family again, but it'd be very ambitious for me to think that I'm gonna just get together and throw a barbecue at the park for everybody. I can't do it. I can't do that. I can't do it. So for
Mhm.
me, it's something that looks like something I could do is like hitting up, my younger cousin. She's in her second year of college, checking in on her more regularly. Um,
Hmm.
or just little things like that, especially because I remember the relationships that I had with my cousins when I was growing up, and how as I got into like my late teens and early adult years, those relationships were a lot more strained. So I didn't really have like older cousins
Yeah.
to guide me and talk to. And so I think about that sometimes and I'm like, I could be that person
Oh,
Hmm.
now. And so like why don't I just do it? And can't save them all because like this sometimes that nobody replies and that's okay.
okay.
That's okay. But at least the check-in was there, at least
Hmm.
the effort was made, that they crossed my mind and that I tried. So I do think that's something that I could do. And yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. I feel like I feel like I'm just going to end up being Big Mama at this point.
Big mama.
Because like in our group chat, like I'm telling you, everybody nominated me to be. They were just like, Jada, we know that you could do it. And I'm like, all right. I guess if it's not me, it's nobody. So, I mean, it is a big responsibility. However, leaning on others, like I know that there's two other like older cousins that baby, I'm leaning on them. Okay.
Mhm.
And it's because I also just don't know everybody. So being able to lean on other people who may have connections with other family members or cousins that I might not be as close to is also really good. And yeah, everybody can play a role. What I can do is play project coordinator like Desinae. I can say, listen, you get this type of family, you get this type of family, you pick the hotel, you do this, you pick the location, and then just delegate. Because honestly, a lot of times people just need like somebody to give them a task. And so
Yes.
I can be the initiator in that aspect and
Mhm.
then just give task and check in and then see how the project is coming along.
Literally. No, like
um,
literally.
yeah, like literally. So we have been trying to get like something going outside of this group chat, but another aspect that I'm thinking about, you know what? I'm gonna save it for my personal episode. You know what?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
Yes. So we can stay
oh.
Mm-hmm.
tuned. That was a good one, girl. I like that.
Never
I'm curious.
had that happen before.
I'm curious.
Guess you'll have to find out later.
Right.
Yeah, no, y'all make some good points too, and I feel like the stuff that y'all mentioned, well, definitely like Des, how you mentioned like calling up your family, just setting up a call. Like that's kind of what I did in the situation, following up on them text messages like, "Hey girl, you said you was coming out here when you pulling up." Like little stuff like that. Like if I'm bugging you, I'm bugging you. But I'm gonna send it. I'm gonna do my part. At the end of the day, I'm gonna do my
Mm-hmm.
part. And that's all that matters. Just do your part, and and that also goes into like surround yourself with the people who are your real family. Don't waste your time on people who ain't for you. Okay. So yeah, y'all dropped some good gems. I like that. I would say mine would be don't wait until something tragic happens. And
Mm-hmm.
because it's unfortunate and it's common that, usually the family comes together around those times, but sometimes you just got to make an event out of things too. Like, for example, my Nana, she just turned 94 and we was like, we making this an event. Like, this is a huge age. So everybody, come out here and plan in advance too. Like, you can't be mad because your family across the country can't show up to something you plan 2 weeks ahead. Like, people have jobs, people got bills to pay. Like, but even like the little things that don't cost money, like calling, I think that's just so considerate. Like I don't even think it's like, oh dang, you got to put that in your phone as a reminder to call. I think that's very considerate because it shows that like you're acknowledging your schedule and you know that if you
Yeah.
put it in it, like it's gonna happen. Like I do that with birthdays. I know how I am. I am not gonna remember everybody's birthday, but because I want to, like I put it in my calendar and I make sure it repeats every year so I don't have to remember again. It's little stuff
Mhm.
like that. Like I put in that effort it just does so much. So I love that. And yeah, a little phone call can really go a long way, I think. So
Mhm.
yeah.
And I will say too, like, I know we do talk about death being like one of the things that always brings family together.
Mhm.
But a lot of times, like having kids, well, I
Mm.
mean, I'm not speaking from personal experience, but but I feel like when you start to have kids, it like brings your family together in new ways. Cause it's like you may
Yeah.
not have been personal, like have a personal connection with a cousin, but now you realize, oh, my cousin got a kid, I got a kid, like our cousin's kids should be together, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
that does change like family dynamics too. Like as we grow
Yeah.
older and go through different stages, it won't always be as hard to maintain relationships with family members. I feel like it'll become more
Yeah.
like,
Mhm.
you know, I guess second nature. And I was talking to somebody too who was they had graduated dental school last year,
Mhm.
and they just were talking about how like they moved to be closer to family. Or no, they moved away because they were like, "Oh, I'm never gonna move home. Like, yeah, I'll miss my family, but like, I'm never gonna move back to my small town." But then they were like, "Now that I'm a year out, almost a year out of school, like, I've been reflecting and all of the success that I've had up to this point, why wouldn't I want to move back home and share that with my family? He was like, had you
Mhm.
told me that I would feel this way while I was still in dental school, I would have looked at you and laughed. Like I was ready to be, you know, young single turn and a dentist in a whole new city and
Yeah.
living life. And he's like, now I'm ready to return to like my small town roots. What's going on? And so
Oh,
you never know like what life experiences will cause you to and positive ones, mind you,
yeah.
will allow you to reflect differently on what matters and like what values, most to you. So what feels like a chore or something that you have to like schedule into your life now when it comes to family is not something that you have to like feel bad about yourself on.
Yeah.
Because at some point it'll become second nature, or at another point it'll just become something that means so much to you where it doesn't have to be that anymore. Because I definitely
Yeah.
scheduling tip. I am not a caller. And I apologize to my people all the time. I'm not a caller. I'm just not good at it.
Okay.
I want to be better. I do, but yeah, it's very much like I looked at a calendar and I ain't talked to this person in 2 weeks. Okay, let me make sure I call them this week kind of thing. Oh, which
Yeah.
I didn't call. Oh, I gotta call somebody back. We get off the phone. My uncle. I forgot I didn't answer his call yesterday. I watched the phone ring and I said I just can't do it. I'm
Oh,
gonna call you back to
Agreement.
see. See,
Uncle, don't
yeah,
listen.
you gotta call it back.
I gotta
Call it
call
back.
him back.
You know what's another thing, speaking about positive experiences, like this wedding is actually it's doing
Oh,
something when it comes down to family members because our
Mm,
guest count is lower than what we originally expected, and we had to make some cuts. And
mm-hmm.
I started evaluating like who was there, like who do I really want to be in the room, like And at first I had like all this family coming, and then I'm like, dang. So I started cutting cousins, then I started cutting aunties, well, the great aunties, and I was like, dang, And it
Not the
just
great
it felt
aunties.
bad, but I mean, it's really like that. Like when it comes
Yeah.
down to it,
mm,
and I had to cut a lot of people that were out of state because I had to prioritize the ones that's in state. Because then it's like, oh, how you about to invite the ones that's out of state, but then I'm right here, like So
mm,
it was just like, it's a lot. It was a lot, but it does have me looking at like who has kept up relationships with me and how have my relationships been with them as an adult as well. Um,
mm,
and yeah, just really reflecting on all those things. So that has been like a natural part of the process that I wasn't necessarily expecting or looking forward to.
Yeah.
But it is something, and it shows. It shows a lot how people act out, and you get to see like when these big things happen. Like, okay, I'm an adult and you're an adult, and I'm kind of evaluating off of an adult perspective now, and I'm like, as an adult, did you handle that well? Or like,
Mm-hmm.
as an adult now, do I actually really want to be close to you? Like, there's also those kind of evaluations as well.
Yeah.
So a lot of that is happening, and building a relationship with your family as an adult is way different than a kid because like you have to be around those people, and then now you get to really evaluate for yourself like who do you want to move forward with in your life. So very
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah,
mhm,
it's kind of crazy because I feel like Cam, how you mentioned like before, well, from what you said before growing up, well, before when we were growing up, being around family was forced per se, like it was gonna happen. And then, later down the line, when these big moments are happening, like kids or family reunions and stuff like that, you come to the realization that you want to be with family and like it makes sense. But I feel like we're kind of right now or going through our 20s is kind of like this awkward space, especially
Mm-hmm.
when you graduate, say, from high school and you're like venturing out on your own and discovering what you want. Like it feels like you need this like sense of individuality, so you want to go out on your own and do your own thing. But then it's also like, but my family though, like they got me here to this point, if you're in that situation. But
Yeah.
like trying to like teeter between the two. But I feel like I have hope that eventually it just all makes sense and comes together, when the
Mm-hmm.
time is. But I just feel like right now is also like a awkward area to be in because still I feel like I'm still kind of growing out of the mindset of like, or even like holding grudges on people like that didn't put in the effort when I was younger
Mm-hmm.
to like come see me or like spend time with family. And now I'm like, okay, like now that I'm adult, like how do I want to handle that? Do I want to
Mm-hmm.
continue that and dead it? Do I want to put in the effort and see how that goes? Do I want to keep trying, trying, trying? Like really looking at different relationships, like, okay. So now that we're both grown, what are we gonna do? What is that gonna look like? So, and it's so crazy because like it can be people that are so close to you too, and it's like, oh, like that's your blah blah blah. You're supposed to be close, and it's kind of like,
Mm,
it's not really the case. So it's definitely different navigating it. I feel like it's kind of like this gray, cloudy area, trying to figure things out. But I'm hopeful that things are gonna come together. Just gotta keep putting in that effort.
where the effort is matched.
Hello, because don't waste your time,
That
okay?
part.
Don't waste it. Like,
Yeah, that part.
you gotta treat it like your family sometimes. I mean, like how we do friends. Like we got our standards with our friends or with people that we call our friends. So what are the standards when it come to family? Because they people too.
Yeah.
Don't let them run over you just because they your family, child.
I feel like that was one thing my parents are very, very good about my
Mm-hmm.
entire life is boundaries with family. I'm like, as I
Mm-hmm.
get
Mm,
older, the conversations that we have about stuff that I noticed as a kid but wasn't really aware of that I know now, it's like, oh, I definitely understand why you guys did that.
Yeah.
100%.
yeah,
I know.
yeah, for
Good
sure.
adults. We need to bring them on the pod. Like, what are some boundaries you set with your family members that we could learn from as young adults?
Mhm. Mhm.
So yeah, those are some. I feel like we definitely dropped some good things. I definitely wrote some things down as far as what I could do to continue to build relationships with family. Just putting that extra effort and not putting as much pressure on ourselves too. Like, if you can't call, you can't call. Like, call them back tomorrow. It ain't the end of the day. It ain't the end of the world. And also you don't have to put on a big event. Like, it can even be just like, hey, like, I know you like Chinese food. Let's go get some tomorrow. Like, if you're in the
Yeah.
area, oh, hey, I'm in your area for a work trip. You got time to do this, this, and this. Like, just put in that little effort. If they say no,
Hmm.
they say no. But like, I just feel at the end of the day, you just gotta make sure you do your part, and that's
Yeah.
all that matters. So yeah, that was really good though. I feel like I needed to talk about that. I haven't really talked about that lately. So
No, this was a good
Yeah.
reflection point, especially going into 2025 for sure.
yeah, yeah.
Things to think about.
Okay.
Hmm.
Who we cutting off? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
And
Right.
who's
You
putting
gotta,
on? Because I
Yeah.
want to get closer to some people too.
Yes, who are we calling?
Hmm.
right. We should change that because
Aw.
everybody be talking about delete that contacts. I'm okay. You announcing it because you want people to be like, don't delete me.
Don't delete. What about no, for real. Not who are you cutting off? Who are you cutting on? Who are
Like,
you cutting on going into
who are you
2025?
cutting on?
That was
Love
good, JD.
that.
You ate that.
Mic drop.
Write that down for a second.
And we know it's been a minute since we gave y'all recommendations on books, movies, things that we've been listening to. But recently we have tapped in with the Black Girls Den podcast. To
Yes.
tell y'all a little bit about them, they're small town girls chasing bigger dreams while working full time. So you can join our homegirls, Alicia and Sheree, in the den every Wednesday as they navigate careers, womanhood, and life with a sprinkle of pop culture. You can listen to them on Spotify, Apple Podcast at 5 a.m., and YouTube at 2 p.m. this Wednesday. I think their time zone,
That might be
Is
East.
it central?
I think they're central. Oh, Lord.
In Kentucky.
So,
You just gonna have to go look at
yeah.
their page.
So for our West Coast listeners, that's 2 hours ahead. For the East Coast listeners, it's an hour behind.
Yes.
Yeah,
Lock in. Matter of fact, go follow their page and turn their notifications on so you can get it right.
That
that
is
part.
Black Girls Den podcast.
Yes. And they're
Yeah,
so
shout to
funny,
y'all.
y'all.
Hmm. We had a ball. We thought we was gonna have a 30-minute conversation. No, it was 60 minutes because we had a ball. Okay. So they are
Literally.
definitely the homegirls now locked in.
Yes. So go show them some love. But all right, I think that pretty much wraps up our episode this time. Y'all don't forget, like, comment, subscribe on all platforms. Show us some love and tell us, what you're gonna do to help build a relationship with your family now that you're an adult and you don't have any excuses. Okay? Okay. So let us know in the comments. Let us know in our DMs. Comment on our post that announced this episode drop. Like, talk to us. Y'all know we like to talk. So please, if you're a yapper too, tune in and let us know what you're thinking. But yeah, we'll see y'all next week for an individual
But
episode.
wait. Our
What,
debrief.
what, what, what?
Yes. Yes.
Y'all know it's been a minute.
I
Mm-mm. Dang, what will we rate
would
this?
give us.
I'm going 2.5.
I was gonna say 3.
Yeah. I feel like this was decent. This was real decent.
I'll say 2.5 too. Cause
Okay, so we're
like,
somewhere on the spectrum.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's
we
been
need
a
to get
minute
in
since we
there.
got
We need to.
emotional. Yeah, it's been a minute since we got emotional.
Yeah, I don't know. We might gotta roll up our sleeves and be for real next episode.
No, because honestly,
Huh.
like, I feel like it could have been deeper.
We're
Okay.
I
dancing.
could
We're
have went
dancing
deeper.
around.
I was
No,
dancing.
for sure.
I was
For
dancing.
sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let us know what
Y'all,
y'all think. Don't
we
drag it up
convicted
too
ourselves.
much. Come on,
Next
episode 2.
Y'all
episode.
let us know.
Episode
Will
two.
Right.
be a 2.5 or a 3 or a 2.75
Somewhere in between there. Okay.
somewhere.
Okay.
But y'all let us know. Yes, comment, like, subscribe, share, tell a friend, the whole nine. And send this to your cousin, actually, while you here, while you at
Yeah.
it.
Start that
Mm-hmm,
conversation.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That part. That part. Be like, cuz I love yo. I love your behind. Come on, cuzzo.
Get out of here.
I'm crying.
Okay, y'all. We will see you all next week. One of us will be dropping an individual episode talking about our experience with building a relationship with our families. So you'll be hearing from Cam, Des, and Jada from an individual basis. So we will see y'all next week. Have a good day.